The Gnarljack also loves you all unconditionally.
So I kept going in for kisses.
Oh. So, what's the deal with your arms?
And he's very proud to explain the mechanisms of the arms and the uses for them in extreme technical detail, if that's what your question is asking.
I'm more interested to know is like, why were you there and your arms here?
That, he tells you, is none of your goddamn business.
Did they help you reach high things? Because I've had a hell of a time.
I use the halberd for that.
He just explains that working on sizable machinery, it's actually very useful to have his arms in two places at two different times. And that while attuned to the equipment, the device that he puts his hand through, while attuned to them, he can control the motion of his hands and his arms as though he were using the mage hand cantrip in two places at once. Very useful for doing all kinds of mechanical work. And he demonstrates by unhooking his arm and moving one across the room and back.
Oh, they can fly? That's interesting.
They move just like mage hand.
Cool.
So is sizable machinery what you call your cock?
Gus stifles a laugh.
Wow.
I mean,
We've been very carefully using flowery euphemisms all session, and then Connor's like, nope, done with that. No more of that.
No, but seriously, how did you stay hard? I really want to know.
Gus is just
brought this
laughing.
on yourself, Brickroad.
Gus is just laughing.
He does the same thing as he did before, where he starts stammering out an argument, an insult, and he just lands on the fact that it's not your business and there's no need for you to concern yourself with those sorts of matters. That's his own affairs.
And Connor just shakes his head disappointedly. I am so disappointed in you.
So what are we doing now? We still got two things to do here in the city, right?
Do you?
3 things.
3? What's the
Yep.
third? So
Find a druid who can cast restoration.
Oh, okay. We have the we have to borrow that book. It's a book, right?
Well, at this point, you're going to have to steal the book. Because if you
Right.
recall, the last meeting you had with Kinzeros was...
We're gonna borrow the book.
Okay, so you are going to steal the book.
We're gonna borrow the book.
To be clear, by borrow the book, you mean break into his tavern and steal it.
Right, borrow
Okay.
the book.
Well, I'm saying it this way because you had a deal where you might borrow the book from him, but that fell through for reasons you guys aren't sure about. He just very suddenly told you he didn't want to do business and do it that way anymore. So now if you still want the book, you are going to have to steal it or try to come to some other agreement.
Right.
I want that to be clear because you keep saying borrow the book, but that's not happening now.
I'm using yes. I know.
Okay.
I acknowledge stealing the book.
Good.
I was just saying borrow the book to make myself feel better about stealing the book.
And Brickroad was
Did it?
stepping on that because
So what's the third
Did it?
thing that you guys are doing here?
We have to go. We have to find a way into Sigil, right? Or do we have a path?
No, we have a way
We
to
have it.
Sigil.
You have a way
That
to
We
was
just have
all.
to step through it.
I would argue that we already know where we're going to get Greater Restoration cast on us because we have a job that we need to go do, and we need Greater Restoration cast on us before we can go do it.
Oh yeah, we can just pay the priest there to do it, right?
Oh yeah, you can almost
And-
certainly pay the Temple of Osprey to cast the spell, especially considering that he's commissioned you for a task.
Okay.
It probably won't get you a discount, but
I'm happy to pay the material component cost.
The last thing that we need is we need to decide if we're going to take the book.
The last thing we need. What I'm gonna add a fourth thing to this list. And like the list, and Gus is going to like motion at his self. I need
Mhm.
some armor.
Oh yeah. We just need the material in the fabricate spell, right?
Right. Do you have any armor grade material steel, Mad Metal?
He tends to not have that sort of resource lying around the place unless he has an actual job for it. He tells you that he has the contacts in town that he can acquire some, but not for free.
That's fine. We're looking for unworked steel, to be clear.
He nods.
Seeker?
He says he could arrange it. He asks, "What's it for? What sort of job do you have in mind?"
And I'll explain that I'm going to be working with Alex here to use a usage of the fabricate spell to turn it into plate armor for our companion.
So you need enough metal to make a suit of plate armor that you're going to use magic to make.
Yes.
Okay. He says he can source that probably a day or two. It shouldn't be too difficult.
Okay.
As long as you're looking just for standard steel.
Right.
Well,
How much
what
is-
are our other options?
Yeah, I
Does he have
was
anything better than steel he can source at any sort of reasonable cost?
Yeah, I have it in
Depends
good
on-
authority that the quality of the armor will increase in commensurate to the quality of the steel.
So by standard steel, what I mean is you're going to make a suit of plate armor.
Right.
Out of the PHB. Anything more than that is going to require considerable expense in both time and money. Because he's going to have to tap sources from further and further away, and you're going to be asking for materials that are much, much more expensive.
All right. Well, we might keep that. We might go with the standard plate, but then keep it in mind that you have these resources for the future.
Like, he's talking
Maybe we
about tapping, like, mithril veins in faraway dwarven kingdoms and stuff. The kind of things that he might use for very small, specialized components in machinery.
Yeah.
Hey, Seeker?
Yeah.
Remember that junkyard in Storm What's-Her-Name's house?
Yes.
I think we should maybe do a flyby and locate object on weapon grade steel there, or armor grade steel there.
Are you saying this in front of Mad Metal?
No, I'm whispering this to Seeker.
Okay.
Yeah, and Seeger just kind of turns and nods.
Well, Gus is going to give them the boil. He's going to change into, like, I guess, street clothes and give them, like, the boiled, like, the leather components of the armor, so that it can be attached.
Yeah, I think... Did I get a chance to actually go through all the material in that scrapyard?
No, we had the perspective that if we searched for there for a while, we could find just about everything we needed, but it would take a while.
It would take some time.
I feel
to
like
do
I can
this.
just go over there invisible, get what we need, throw it in the bag of holding, and come back.
Let's put it this way. You can either spend a day letting Mad Metal source the steel for you and then pay its raw material costs, which I don't... Offhand, I'm not certain.
It's 1,500 for plate armor, and the materials are half the cost.
The materials are half the cost of the plate armor? That's actually surprising.
Materials are half the cost of everything you make in Dungeons & Dragons.
Oh, okay. Say it would cost 750 then.
Minus whatever the padding, the ruined padding is worth.
Or you can spend the day attempting to rummage through Stormling's garbage heap, looking for the materials, which might incur... I mean, you might get teleported back and have to do the whole dungeon again. You have no idea.
That's fine. We know all the puzzles now.
I mean, I think we're maybe within dimension door range of the exit at that point. We did try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Seeker and I'll go over... Well, if you want to come with me, Seeker, in case I do get dimension doored somewhere.
Oh, no, I'd most definitely want to do some divination with you, because the way I think we split this up, right, is... I'll stand near one half of it and find the closest piece, and then we'll just keep splitting it into halves and using divination to break it down further. I think we've got a good plan.
Regardless of the method you use, this is going to be a full day's work.
No, that's fine. I just coming up with a way that Seeker would do it.
What level is Greater Restoration?
5th.
5th? We're going to say to get it cast once is going to be 50 gold pieces plus the cost of the materials if you do it at the Temple of
So
Osprey.
150, okay. I don't care about my strength, I only need my int.
Doesn't it remove all effects, or does it only remove one?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't
It'll
know.
remove everything from Alex. I don't need it at the moment.
Yeah, it would completely fix Alex. My read of the
Yeah,
spell.
then we only
anyway.
need one.
And Seeker's
So I'm
like,
just gonna mark...
my dex is
If
whatever.
we can make an appointment, I'm just going to mark 150 off my character sheet.
You can get that done today, but if you do, you're not going to be able to spend the day rummaging through the garbage pile.
I'm going to make an appointment for tomorrow if they have one.
I mean, it's not a hospital.
We'll rummage through the garbage today. We'll go tomorrow.
We'll do okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be in Blue Worm for at least 2 more days. That's kind of what I need to know. What is everybody else doing for those 2 days?
So, are we going to like? We don't have any way to like disguise ourselves, right?
There are lots of ways to disguise
So we can
yourselves.
cast disguise self.
Seeker laughs from the other room. I have like
You're
4
busy.
ways to disguise you.
You're busy.
Yeah, Seeker and Alex are not participating in what's happening right now because this is
Yeah.
what are the rest of you doing while Seeker and Alex are doing that?
Well,
Yeah.
if we had some way to disguise ourselves, like we need to case the joint in the other thing, because I'm feeling like what we need to do is we need to steal the book and then skip town, right? Do you disagree? Do you have a better option?
No. Here's the problem. We should probably do that after we come back from Sigil.
You think so?
Yeah. Because if we skip town by going to Sigil, we have to
The only
come
way
back.
is come back through here. Yeah.
Come back through here, and then we got to report to the High Priest anyway, because we got to find that damn fork, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giant dinner
we-
fork. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember.
So
Stealing the book should be last on our list.
Okay.
but I guess we can case the joint now.
That wouldn't hurt, but
Okay, you kind of already cased the joint. You got all the layout you're going to get without breaking in using magic or stealth. Do you want to go over what all's out here again?
From what I remember, the book is on display and it's right here, right?
Not anymore.
No, he moved it.
He moved it
Moved it.
after he canceled your deal. And it's now inside. It's still inside this building, but you don't know exactly where.
I'd
mean,
like to know what caused him to cancel it. What caused him to renege? Like just to completely stonewall us on that.
You're going to try to find out?
That might be a worthy avenue of
Yeah.
pursuit. So Lucius is gonna do that.
How?
Who's his social equals? Who does he like to rub elbows with?
Well, as you recall, he runs this tavern out of his own manor house, but he does it as more of a hobby just because he enjoys it. He's not the proprietor of a tavern. That's not how he makes his living. Blue Worm doesn't have the same tradition of nobility that Dunfoss does, but there is still clearly a wealthy noble class, and Keen Zeros would definitely qualify. So hobnobbing, especially with other retired adventurers in town, or finding other wealthy contacts who might know him well, or might be acquainted with him, or might be his rivals. You could probably spend a day gathering all that information, and then make a decision from there.
Yeah,
Are
yeah,
all-
I'll take a day to do that.
Is anybody else doing this with Lucius? Or is only
I will assist.
Gus is doing it?
Yeah.
And all three of you. Okay. All three of you, please make me an investigation check. We're going to call this Charisma Investigation since we're hobnobbing with the elites. I will also allow you to reduce the DC of the roll by spending gold. You don't know what the DC is, but every 100 gold you put into it, I'll reduce it by 1.
Oh, I don't have that much money
Uh,
to throw around.
charisma.
But I can make
It's Charisma Investigation.
Charisma investigation.
Mm-hmm.
I got a flat +5 to this.
I want all three of you to roll this individually. This isn't a assisted roll.
I don't worry, guys. I got this. I rolled a 3.
Okay. So Gus got a 3.
Yep.
Gus is our charisma guy.
Yeah.
McDohl,
That
what did you get?
is also a 3.
Okay. And what about Lucius?
I also got a 3 plus 20, so 23.
23. 333. Connor and Gus, you guys, listen, it's not your fault, okay? You're nice guys, not exactly the upper crust of society,
Right.
okay? Gus
Hey,
is
how
like
about
Working class, okay?
part troglodyte. Connor doesn't bathe. Like Lucius, being a
Yes.
member of the nobility, you know how to act. You know who to talk to. You know how to get yourself into a social gathering. You find yourself at in the manor house at a social gathering of someone or other. Here's the rumor when you bring up Keen Zeros. Keen Zeros has unofficial beef with the Church of Osprum. Nobody's totally sure why, but he has great difficulty acknowledging the temple. He finds himself in frequent debates, jovial debates, but firm ones, with believers in Osprum in his manor house, to the point where acolytes of the temple or true believers who live in Blue Worm tend to not go there. They feel very unwelcome. It sounds to you like he got word that you guys were palling around at the Church of Osprum and have made some kind of deal with one of the priests there, and that made him not want to do business with you anymore. The actual reason why he feels this way about the temple, which is very strange because it is the largest temple in Blue Worm by far. It's kind of the closest thing the city has to an official like patron deity. It definitely puts him in the minority, and nobody's sure why. There's lots of speculation. Anything you can think of, somebody else has already thought of. And at the end of the day, you're done hobnobbing.
Beef.
Yeah, so that's where you hit the wall. There's all kinds of speculation as what his beef actually is, but everybody thinks they know for sure. Everybody heard it from somebody who heard it from somebody. It's definitely a source of juicy gossip in the city.
Reasonable. But okay. Alright. Good to know for now.
Okay.
Need to think on this a bit.
I'm assuming Gus and Connor have just given up and have taken to drinking in a bar.
That's the first thing you thought of. You guys go to the bar, you're like, alright, one drink, and then we'll get out there. Then 8 hours later, Lucius shows up.
Where the hell have you two been? Investigating.
That's what Gus says when Lucius walks in.
Excellent.
So at the end of the first day, I need Seeker and Alex.
Yeah.
Roll me... I'll let you use your spellcasting ability score, but roll me a stealth check.
Okay.
I'm assuming, because you're not supposed to be on this land rooting through this pile, I'm assuming you guys are trying not to get caught.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I'm assuming you're willing to use magic to conceal
Yeah.
yourselves. Okay.
I mean, for sure.
So I think that's intelligence stealth for both of you.
For me, that's a 15.
Okay.
So 13 for me.
Okay. You guys are able to source 750 gold worth of armor grade steel from the pile, but it is a considerable amount of work. I mean, you guys are aching and tired at the end of it as you take the last pallet and strap it onto Scrappy's back and head back to Mad Metal's shop. So then
Someone else wants a continual flame coin while we're doing building stuff. I thought somebody mentioned it.
I mean, is it free?
Okay.
No, it's gold. Like, I think I literally have to pour powdered gold over the item when I cast the spell.
I don't know that I need one.
Okay.
I thought someone mentioned that they wanted one, but I don't remember who
I
or
think
what.
Gustavus might have.
So tomorrow, Alex is going to the temple receive greater restoration. Okay. Seeker is staying back at the shop using Fabricate. Okay, so you and Alex are taking up tomorrow then.
Do I need to be in? I guess I need to. Do I need? It's going to fit me, and it's got to be fitted. So
I
I
have
should
your
not need to-
measurements.
Oh,
Trust
okay.
me.
Yeah, you don't need to be at the shop when the shop's working.
The way the
Wait,
spell
wait, wait.
works is Seeker has to be there to cast the spell, and Alex has to be there because they're using Alex's tool proficiency in order to actually make the armor.
Right.
So the
Did you
two
get
of them.
my measurements?
It's your
Honey,
armor
we've
in
been
the
sleeping
past.
next to one another for years.
So that does free up Gus and Connor and Lucius to do something again tomorrow.
I think Gus and Connor should do what they do best.
Be useless?
I think you should go gripe. Head over to that shop and tell them after a day or so of drinking, let the truth of this situation get out. Essentially, that we got Kiskad into working for the goddess,
I'm sorry.
and we're not great friends. And also, he thinks he might put me on the outs with my god by doing so, even though I personally think that's unlikely.
Kiskad, you say?
Right. You know, when you just end up sleeping on the bottom of a ship, suddenly you're working for Kiskad military. You guys don't have that slang?
No.
Did you get that out of 50 Shades of Sand?
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing tomorrow? You don't have to do anything if you want. You can just use 8 hours, take a downtime action, or just do absolutely nothing. Whatever you want to. You don't have to think of anything to do if you can't think of anything.
Well, I guess I could just take a downtime action.
Okay, that's a little.
Does,
you take 8 hours
is-
of downtime.
Yep. Okay.
Definitely an option.
I'm gonna make a spell scroll.
Okay. Then we can go ahead and move on to the next morning when Gus, Seeker, and Alex have worked through and made you a suit of plate mail armor. Did you guys screw with it at all?
We would never.
What?
Honestly, Seeker spent the entire time at the thing, seeing if we could find a small amount of some metal so that we can make this rust-proof, but we didn't pull it off.
Yeah, there's a compartment in one of the pauldrons that collapses to hold a knife.
Fair enough. Alex, go ahead and knock off what was 150 plus the cost of components to get greater restoration cast.
Okay.
And you can return your ability scores to normal. Are you guys going to go back down to the dungeon to see if that closed the doors back up?
No.
You sure?
Man, how
Yeah.
funny would that be? If the dungeon's just like, that's a party foul, man, you can't do that.
Cleric or Druid, we could just cast it right there, but
And it's been
I don't
decided
get that until 16th.
it's been decided that you're going to steal the book when you come back from Sigil. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
I think that's probably the best idea.
We're gonna steal the
But-
book and then we're gonna book.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then if we're done in Blue Worm, we can move on to the next adventure. So,
I'm gonna give Seeker a scroll of burning hands. There you go, Seeker. Since we don't have, I'm just gonna.
What do you
pat
want
him
me
on
to do
the-
with this?
Scribe it in your spell book, and then use it to burn things alive.
I'm not really that sort of wizard.
Alright, then give
You're
it to me,
our-
I'll scribe it. Except I can't do that. It's not a ritual. Can't ritual cast Burning Hands.
that would be really dumb.
10 minutes later.
All right, guys, you need to stand there for 10 minutes. I'll be right back.
If you time it really well, just start casting it 10 minutes before.
Before combat starts? Yes.
So the High Priest of Osprey had given you the small case with Nautilus shells and told you that if you crush the Nautilus shells as you walk through a particular vine-covered archway in the gardens on the site of the cathedral, you would step through to the other side and find yourself in Sigil.
Okay.
Is that the plan?
That sounds like an
Yeah,
exciting
can I do some
opportunity.
quick bookkeeping first?
Yeah.
Did we ever actually get paid for that gnarl jack delivery? Because I don't have it on our ledger.
Yeah, what were we supposed to get paid for that?
I do have it in the contracts.
It was like 2,500 gold, wasn't it?
Yeah, that.
Do I not have it in the contracts?
I thought you had received a promissory note from Tom for that.
Yeah, I
I
thought
think we
got-
might have. I think they transferred that money to us already.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
All
think
right, so we're good.
Okay, yeah. And then my other question is, does the blank of blue worm banknote, can we redeem that when we're back in whatever our city's named?
It's an excellent question.
Dunfoss.
That depends on a lot of factors, especially considering that Dunfoss just had a fairly tumultuous change of government.
so.
All right, so we'll liquidate here and we'll just put the money in the bag of holding
Okay.
Yep.
on the
So
way
that's-
out. Yep.
Well, we're doing 1,000 gold coins.
No, not right now. Just on the way back.
Okay.
How much do we have with us? Because we might need some money in the city.
I have
17 gold left on
I
me.
got 200 gold.
Does anybody know you're going to Sigil? Like, have you told anybody in the city?
In this city?
I would have told Mad Metal because he's had
Yeah, I would have
business with
told
them.
Tom Wolf.
Yeah.
Mad Metal tells you that doing business with the City of Doors is way more trouble than it's worth. And that he does it as infrequently as possible. He says, hold on, I'm going to give you a contact.
Okay.
The first thing he tells you is that payment in gold and silver is very dicey in the City of Doors. He says there's this big stupid thing where this kind of celestial won't take gold because, oh, we're big and high and mighty and we are above material wealth. And then the infernals are like, oh, we won't take silver because it burns us or whatever.
Right.
To be safe, you want to carry platinum.
Okay.
It's always been platinum for like the past few days. This is mad.
And by the way, they don't call it platinum, they call it mertz. It's a whole thing. It's really stupid.
Do they take
The
Electrum?
fuck is a mert?
When you say Electrum, he slaps you with both of his hands.
Excellent.
Can you recommend money changer here in the city?
He tells you that there is a good Artificer shop in the city. The reason it's good is because it was founded on what they would refer to as the prime material world. He says, how ridiculous does that sound? They have a name for everything. Not this prime material world, some other prime material world. But they're honest gnomes. They'll give you a straight price every time. They do business outside of their city in lots of different places. He gives you the shop. Proprietor's name is Middlebob.
Okay.
Says if you find this shop in the City of Doors, you will find some semblance of sanity amidst what he can only describe as complete and utter anarchy.
Right.
He gives you one more word of caution.
Okay.
Under no circumstances should you ever talk philosophy with anyone in that godforsaken city. You will be trapped in hours and hours of tedious, circuitous debate from which there is no escape. And you will die there, and you will skeletonize, and your skeleton will grow a big long beard, and it's agonizing. Do business, get what you need, get the hell out, but make sure you don't end up in actual hell, because that's a thing that can also happen there. You shouldn't go. Don't go. Whatever business you have, cancel it and don't go.
I can't do that because that would mean that our friend brain would melt or something.
I mean,
Secret
I'm,
waves.
I'm okay with that. He kind of brought that on himself.
All right, if we're gonna start letting things that people bring on themselves stick around, Gus.
All I gotta say, Mad Metal, is if there's a lot of them, the Prime Material Plane seems like a really dumb name.
Well, there's a lot of primes. There's infinite primes.
All I'm saying is
Some of them are just hotter
numbers,
than
yeah.
others.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
When you get out to some of these other worlds, sometimes math doesn't work.
what?
Hold on.
You're just talking madness now.
Should we consider math to be philosophy and also not talk to anyone about that?
A safe bet.
Duly noted.
Well, hopefully we only end up there and back again. We don't go to any other worlds.
And he tells you it's never, ever that simple.
All right. Well, thank you for your contact. Do you want us to pick you up anything while we're in town?
Absolutely not. Is that it?
Yeah. Button that blows your ass off or something.
It's a box that has like a red button and a blue button. If you hit the red button, the nearest red thing explodes. Hit the blue button, the nearest blue thing explodes.
Well, no. There's two things on it. There's the butt on and the butt off.
Mad Metal asks which door you're using to go.
The one on the temple grounds.
And he shakes his head. That's a one-way door. You won't be coming back.
Oh. Okay.
We think we have a way around that.
Wait.
And we were told this by someone who it would be in their best interest if we came back.
I don't think we have a specific way around that. I just think we have hints that there should be a way back.
Also, I do remember the part of the conversation being that everybody he sent through the door to do the thing has never come back.
He did.
All right, wait a second though. You have, I mean, rather, you just said that you have business arrangements with them. If you're getting deliveries, you must know a way here.
He does indeed. He doesn't use the door on the temple grounds.
What door do you use?
He tells you of another door in one of the archways in the town that the water can flow through. So you'd have to use it during the timetable when that part of the aqueducts are not flooded.
Wait, how do you get back through that door?
The good thing about this particular portal, he tells you, is that the key is not consumed going through the door and will work coming back, although you'll be fairly dirty either way.
Nothing we haven't done before.
He can source you the key. However, it's illegal to carry this particular substance in Blue Worm. It's the powderized carapace of a silkworm larva. And he tells
Why
you...
is that illegal?
Because the people who establish the town know about the portal and don't want the rank and file using it. If you've ever wondered why exports of silk into or out of Blue Worm are more expensive than any other manner of trade, this is the reason why. The temple keeps very tight control over who uses that door.
Yes, that is something that I was aware of and wondered. Gus just kind of nods his head. Yes, that it all makes sense now.
We can buy silk in a big city like that pretty easily if there's no tariffs, though. Like, it seems like on the other side it should be readily available.
Well, the idea is to make sure that there's no silk industry in Blue Worm.
Right, but my thought is, if we go to Sigil, there's no such law, so it might be easier to get the silk there.
Possibly. So you have options. You can use the temple door and then try to get silkworm larva to come back. Of course, what they consider to be silkworm larva might be like weird lava dragon larva that's going to come to life and eat you. You can never tell. It's complete anarchy.
So wait, you're just saying that silkworm larva is illegal here, but silk sells very well?
Because there's no silk industry in Blue Worm. They have to import it.
It's secret nods and say, let's just pay Tom's price. On the other side of the door, we'll just buy a bunch of silk, bring it back, make a killing.
Obviously. I'll make another bag of holding before we come back.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to purchase larva off of Mad Metal, or is that something you're going to get when you get into Sigil?
Let's get it off Mad Metal.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
knows the type.
Just put it in the bag of holding.
My entomology is not my strong point.
That's a good point. Does it have to be living silkworm larva?
No. It can be desiccated.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, just put it in the bag of holding. They'll never know it's in there.
Yeah.
He insists to drop a contract. The reason being is he only has a few of these, and if one goes missing, it'll end up costing him money down the road. So the idea is he will give one to you on loan, so you can take the portal through. But if it's not returned to him, we're going to call it 200 pieces of gold.
That's fair.
It's completely
Sounds
fair.
perfectly fair to me.
And he's only giving you
What
these
exactly
terms because you have a good working relationship with Tom. So here's the idea.
I would just like to point out that since we're dealing in an illegal good, what are we going to claim that actually is in the contract?
It's not illegal in Dunfoss.
He tells you, I'll just write it's peanut butter. It doesn't matter.
That's what I was checking. I just wanted to know what I was claiming to buy 200 gold worth of.
Okay. So you guys have access to the portal on the Cathedral grounds, which requires the crushed Nautilus shell. And there's a portal under one of the bridges inside the city. And recall that the water is controlled in such a way that it flows through the entire aqueduct at different portions of the day. So this would have to be done. There'll be a time just before midday, so late in the morning. And then 12 hours later, so just before midnight. You kind of have your option of when you want to do
We'll
it.
just water breathe our way back. Let's take the portal, since they're expecting us to go, let's take the portal there out of the... Oh, but we need to get directions to the portal back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about
And
yours?
Mad Metal can tell you... Mad Metal tells you that the Middle Bob company can point you the right direction.
So, question that might be dumb, but we've run into some time shenanigans before. Does time flow the same
Oh,
on both sides?
you're gonna get some time dilation.
How much?
That's a good question. Maybe a minute, maybe a month. Depends on what door you use, how long you're there, how much blue there is. Who can say? What part of total anarchy do you not understand?
Listen, it's fine, Gus. I'm working on behalf of one god, and I'm probably the avatar of another. We'll get back when we need to.
I don't think that's how that works, Seeker.
That's another thing. They don't have gods? Kind of.
But there's a temple to a god in there.
Total anarchy. I hate it. You shouldn't go. Stay here. Let's do the Gnarljack work. I'm sure you have much to contribute.
That is interesting and tempting, but don't want Seeker's brain to melt.
Maybe when we get back.
Maybe. Hey, Seeker, what if we go through and we don't do the thing, but there's no gods, so you're fine?
No, that sounds like a bad plan. Seeker says very loudly, over his own thoughts.
Or I can take Seeker's brain out and place it in a protective jar with ethereally charged fluid inside of it, keeping it healthy. And then inside of his skull cavity, we can use a sort of mechanical device to create a gnome golem.
Ah.
That sounds very appealing, and we'll make sure to get back to you on that thought when we get back.
I mean, I have it
To
on good
receive
authority.
signals from the brain.
I already have it on good authority. He's a soulless homunculus.
Oh, in that case, it won't work.
Ah.
So this back and forth goes on with Mad Metal for as long as you want it to.
Before we go,
Mhm.
I would I look at Seeker and Alex and whoever. Seeker's the one with the sending spell. I don't think Alex can cast it.
No,
Right.
I only had an item that did it, and I got rid of that. Also, your boots are gone.
They just disintegrated.
Well, they're
Connor.
still boots, they're just
Well,
not
anymore.
magic.
Last call for before we goes.
Oh yes, no. I want to send Kevin a sending and check on him. It's been like 2 months,
Mhm.
and figure like they're fighting undead, I guess vampires. And just I want to make sure he's not dead. Nobody else cares.
So the response
care a
from
lot.
Kevin, I can actually show you a little bit here. Is that they've set up semi-permanent fortifications in the foothills of these mountains here that are protected against the legions of the undead. Most of the opponents seem to be just animated corpses. So anytime one of their number die, they join the undead army.
How bad it like basically the question is how are like so I get 25 words, so how are you?
Well, we can sum up many sendings over the past however long, I'm assuming you were
Right.
trying to keep in contact.
Yeah.
One of the sendings I'm sending him is, by the way, we're leaving the plane, so if you're going to need to get a message to us, don't roll a 1.
So here's what you learn. They're holding the line. They're kind of laying siege to the Dwarven city, which at this point they're assuming has been completely lost. They were not expecting reinforcements from the south, from the Old King's kind of cavalry coming north. So they're holding the line relatively well. He's not doing a lot of fighting himself, but he's distinguished himself against some of these like zombie fights that they've had. They're essentially having a George Romero movie up there. They are in infrequent contact with Inaharis Warlock's Bane. She and some of the other monster hunters are making excursions into the Dwarven city by several other roads that the Traitor Queen... By the way, why are they calling her that? That's not very nice. She brought information about roads in and out of this Dwarven stronghold that would be unknown to most human travelers. So Inaharis, they're in semi-regular contact with her as she's making excursions into and out of the city by these roads, ensuring that some of them are safe, making sure that they're not planning a pincher attack coming through one of them, and essentially using explosions to using demolitions to bring down these roads behind them.
I mean, do we tell Kevin that there's a new king?
Oh, at this point they would know because the Old King's all of his knights and servants and things have come north, so they're up to date on news in Dunfoss. It's just not something that the people here are mostly concerned with. And Kevin doesn't have a lot more information than that. Things are kind of fought to a standstill. There doesn't seem to be much chance of like this undead horde spreading out across the continent. They're on the attacking side of a siege, essentially.
Uh-huh.
But the opponent they're sieging has no need to eat. So the siege theoretically could go on forever. That's where they're at.
I tell Kevin we're very proud of him.
He doesn't sound like he's particularly distressed. He's not traumatized. It sounds like he's working on distinguishing himself where he can.
Well, just the last thing we're gonna tell him is to make sure that he comes back safe. That's his.
And if you don't, die somewhere convenient where we can retrieve your body.
So that could be the last sending you send today. If you die somewhere convenient where we can retrieve your body. And you guys are going...
Even this part came from me, who has died like 3 times, so he knows it came with good intent.
And you guys are going through the door at the cathedral, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we decide? Does it matter?
Yeah.
If you have a better idea, Connor, I kind of have one, but it seems more Seeker's deal.
Yeah.
My thought is that we should go through the way they're expecting, so that when we come back a way they're not expecting, they don't expect it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And my only thought is we could sell the component we have on the black market and then go through using the other one, but I don't think we want to deal with that. That seems like a lot of work for very little gain.
Yeah.
Well, we need the component to get back.
Yeah, that seems like you're blowing a big con to make a small one.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So this may look familiar to some of you.
No, done.
What the hell is this place?
Kiska, this sucks.
Stepping through the archway, holding as you crush this nautilus shell in your hand, there's not much of a sensation to it. There's no pomp or fanfare. There's no spinning montage of falling through a bizarre lit tunnel with clocks floating all around you. You just step through one door and out of another. You step into a very dirty, very noisy place. Behind you is a stone archway retreating back into an alley. Very, very tight alley, I should point out. In fact, all of the buildings here are very, very tight, close together. The archway that you step through and the building to your left as you come through, which looks like it's partially demolished or dilapidated, is completely overgrown with razor vine.
Oh, I recognize that plant.
The noise, just the din of the city, as all of these bizarre, mostly humanoid creatures, as a mass of them moving back and forth along the cobblestone road. It's dark, but it's difficult to tell whether it's dark because there's no sun in the sky, or if it's because of just this dense smog that you can see in either direction. You just don't have very good visibility, forward or backward or upward. Up in the sky, you see kind of the dim outline of a source of illumination, as though the moon or the sun is having just very hard time penetrating through the smog. It's also very wet. This oily rain is falling in a sprinkle through the town, pooling up in places with loose or missing cobblestones. And you have no idea where you are, or what to do, or how to get back. And that's where we're going to take a break, so I can go get my dinner started. It's going to take me about 15 minutes. And then everything will be in my oven. The rest of you guys can get your coffee, get your bagel. We'll reconvene.
Get your blindfold for me.
Oh, we'll do. I don't care that much. I like just having the interesting bit of trivia. Like, oh, I'm technically a Bitcoin investor. I'm going to take the blindfold off now.
You're a Bitcoin victim.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I've been assaulted by
Bitcoin
Bitcoin.
victims, Nodal. There is no one living on this planet who is not a Bitcoin victim.
So at the time, I know McDohl and I got obsessed for a while. Got addicted to a website called Buttcoin, which just posted Bitcoin memes and stuff all the time. And so
it's r/Buttcoin now.
Is it? But so like
I thought it was r/Buttcoin.
At the time, there was like this big push in the Bitcoin community for like all donations online to be done through Bitcoin. So it was like really common for these guys to just go out to like just random streams or whatever else out there, not because they wanted to support their streamer or support whatever the cause was, but just to put more Bitcoin out there. So I'm assuming that's what happened. Is some guy went on Twitch one day with $300 worth of Bitcoins and gave them out 3 pennies at a time. There are no Bitcoin in Sigil. And I want
There's
to...
definitely Bitcoin in Sigil.
I want to enforce... I want to be very clear, I have placed the Sigil map on the screen just so we have something interesting to look at. Under no circumstances do you people know where you are in the city, know where you're going, know where the temple is, know what direction is which, nor do you have a map of the city. This is just here.
Yeah.
I'm starting
for
to
what
think
it's worth, I'm pretty sure there's at least 2 layers of Mechanus that are pointlessly churning away at Bitcoin right now.
Oh my god.
So what is the largest like landmark that I could see among this giant tire that we're sitting on the inside of?
You have no idea that you're inside of a giant tire. It just looks like a regular stretch of road, and it just disappears into the smog in both directions. This is the dirtiest town you've ever been in. So you
we're
know...
on a side street?
You just stepped out of an alley onto kind of a main thoroughfare. You just stepped out of just the squashed space between 2 buildings where there's just this razor vine encrusted stone archway overhead. You've been told that the Temple of Osprum is in a place called the Hive. And the Middlebob Corporation, their storefront in Sigil, is in a place called the Guildhall Ward.
That sounds a little more like hospitable.
I'm gonna
So
go on a
probably
limb
have-
here and say let's go to the guild hall before we go to the hive.
I also think we should just get information from them before anything else. Like, it sounds like they might be reasonable people. Oh god, this stuff is sharp! Fuck!
We've already seen this stuff.
The architecture in Sigil... he's talking about the razor vine, but the architecture is also sharp. When you look at the buildings, I mean, cities have a certain characteristic to them when you look at the buildings. Like Dunfoss is very old worked stone, originally built by dwarves, whereas Blue Worm is much newer and has more careful kind of circular planning to the streets and whatnot. The motif in Sigil seems to be bladed edges. The buildings have crenellations and battlements and pipes and gutters and things, and it looks like there are curved sword blades and other kinds of, sometimes metallic, sometimes made of stone, in places where otherwise you would expect gargoyles or decorative buttresses or even gardens to be, even plants. The city street
So impractical.
is extremely busy. And you guys from Dunfoss and Blue Worm both have kind of a reputation for being a metropolitan sort of society where they have very large demi-human populations. Even so, the demi-human population together is still a minority compared to humans. It's common to see dwarves and gnomes walking the streets. This is very different. It's minutes as you step out of the alleyway before you see a human. Or what you assume to be human. Looks like it might be a human. There are things you can't even identify walking around as normal citizens. Things that if you saw them in Dunfoss, you would immediately cue up a magic missile spell. Things with bat wings and 12-foot tall monsters wearing bladed armor. People wearing clothes that look like they're on fire. It's extremely off-putting, to say the least.
Wow.
This is a lot so far.
Hey, Connor, use your class feature to tell us if there are any Fae nearby.
I don't think we need to use it, do we? I bet there is.
You bet
I
there
think
is?
we're good. So,
As you guys
Okay,
are having
this
this
is-
discussion, a woman walks in front of you. And looking at her, she looks like a humanoid flower. Her hair has petals, and her clothes are made of woven strands of maybe vines or roots. And she's walking with two of her companions, each of which have monstrous looks to them. Her skin is this bluish green. And so, yeah, he's not. Hey, see if there's any Fae walking by. And just then, the most Fae creature you think you've ever seen in your life, just walking down the road, nonchalantly conversing with her two companions.
This
Alright.
is.
this is still a city, though, right? Are there any?
I'm seeing construction and stuff, but I'm not like actually seeing any kind of organization to it.
Is there anyone selling food?
Alex
Wait.
pulls a length of cotton out of his pack, fashions a crude bandana, and offers if anyone else wants one.
I mean, yeah.
Shoot yourself.
I
I'm not
guess.
breathing this stuff.
Oh, I think you are. Regardless
Connor-
of whatever you stick in front of your face.
Connor doesn't do anything about what he perceives to be the faith creature to be,
Okay.
but he has grasped his bow and he's holding
Twitching.
it, and his knuckles are like white,
Mm-hmm.
maybe shaking a little bit.
Okay. You guys have Scrappy with you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we can ask that lady what, like, if she knows which way the Guildhall Ward is.
Well,
Let's not
she's walked
say
past
that.
you by now. Yeah, she's
I
down
think
the road.
we find someone selling something. God knows Lucius will be able to eat it. We buy it and we ask for directions to the Guildhall Ward.
Let's just
Okay,
start
sure.
walking this way. Maybe there'll be like a vendor on the side of the road somewhere.
Right, I think that's our best bet.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, then.
Gus holds up his finger and spins around, and he points in a direction and says, "Let's go."
And it's
It's
back
just
up the alleyway.
At least for once, we don't have to worry about Scrappy drawing any attention.
Somebody roll me a d8.
Let's roll a d8 because I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. 4.
4.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long do you guys intend to walk until you find some sort of merchant?
I mean, we're not on
Yeah.
a time crunch here.
Yeah.
The only time crunch you're on is that you guys did have plans to participate in Dunfoss's Magic Games,
Yeah.
which are in about a week and a half from the time you stepped into the portal. Just about, not, a little more than that, actually.
But as far as we know, it's either going to be a week and a half, or it's going to be 16 years, or it's already over. So
Exactly. I'm not
Regrettably.
gonna I'm not gonna delay things, but I'm also not gonna worry too much about sprinting through the streets.
As you guys move
get
down
back.
the street, you kind of just pick a direction at random and start moving. The cacophony around you, you start picking voices out of it and traces of language. Just conversations you're overhearing, callers from down the street. You hear languages that you've never heard before in your life. And a lot of them, the majority of them, in fact. What's the most esoteric language that you guys probably know? It's probably Sylvan, would be my guess. Unless somebody knows something
Yeah.
like Giant.
So actually, I prepared a spell for this because
Infernal?
I knew we were going into a city. I cast Comprehend Languages.
Well, don't cast that yet, because I'm not going to sit
Oh,
here and
okay.
translate 30,000 conversations for you. I'm giving you descriptive background information.
Yeah, Connor knows
Lucius does.
Sylvan.
Okay.
Lucius knows Infernal.
So, Lucius, you're hearing more Infernal than you've ever heard spoken openly and casually. Just people on the street. Well, people, quotes. And Connor, you're hearing dialects of Sylvan that you thought were ancient and archaic, even by Sylvan standards. Seeker.
Yeah.
What are you trying to comprehend?
I want to hear if I can find someone buying something.
Or selling something.
Buying, selling, anything.
Okay. So
Secret
casting
trust merchants because you pay them and then they do things for you.
casting comprehend languages. Make me an investigation check.
That is a 21.
Okay. You pick up snippets of dialogue here and there. Kind of eavesdropping on just the din of the city behind you. And you learn that you're near to a place called the Great Foundry. And that the nearer you get to the foundry, the more and more shops and storefronts there will be, especially metalworking shops and all of the industry that supports that kind of endeavor. So if you continue the way you're going, you'll be in that area.
I tell that to the others, and then they say, Alex, maybe we could find the middle bob suppliers there.
Yeah, or I mean, yeah.
Maybe.
But so far we haven't
Is this a good
actually.
enough place to go.
So far we haven't asked anybody or tried to interface with any of the citizens yet. Correct?
Let's make a foundry and see. Like, there's usually going to be some place to eat around a large place that a lot of people work.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's head to the foundry, and then we'll head into like an inn or something and
Oh,
start convert.
oh God. Okay, cigarette smoke cuts a lot of it out. Anyone else want one?
No, thank you.
So the goal is to try to find an inn close to the foundry?
Yeah, like a tavern, that sort of thing.
Okay. You move the direction that the smog seems more dense. Although that is effectively just choosing a random direction as well. The largest building you've seen so far, you watch as the street before you opens up into kind of a circular or maybe octagonal plaza and starts to stretch in and around larger and larger buildings. The largest building you've seen stretches before you, and at first you're thinking, oh, there's the Great Foundry. We found it. We're coming up on it. It looks like this giant workshop. There's smokestacks coming out of the top of it, belching out black smoke and smog. We can see the workmen moving back and forth. You're seeing a lot of people wearing blacksmithing aprons, moving carts loaded with metal goods, coal. And as you move towards this particular building, thinking this must be the foundry, you realize that looming behind it, coming out of the smog, is a wall that dwarfs the building you've looked at. And that behind that building is a complex of even larger buildings, to the point where they take up almost your entire sight line on the horizon behind you. And you're standing in a building that dwarfs even the Cathedral and Great Worm, even the entirety of the Palace District back in Dunfoss. And you realize this is the Great Foundry beyond the wall.
God, Alex, the place is so big. Maybe they just have the food inside.
It might.
Huh.
You know, I've never really I got a workshop. I do work, but never really thought about an industrial scale like this. Even the greatest ported and deep Mercsif don't put stuff out like this.
Let's, Alex, you look like the techie type. Let's find someone who has some grease stains on them, and then you can ask. Maybe they'll.
Yeah.
Literally
more likely to answer
everyone,
questions.
including the 5 of you at this point, have grease stains on them.
Let me approach someone who looks like they're equipped with smithing equipment.
Now, when you say approach someone, how judicious are we being? Like, are we trying to approach someone who looks like a demi-human? Or are you gonna...
Actually, I don't care, but what I do care is they speak a common language. You only have comprehend up, right?
Yeah, I'll come with you.
Why don't the two of us try and find someone who speaks a language one of us speaks?
Okay, but there's a lot of considerations here. I mean, are you gonna... Because it's difficult to tell what is man and what is monster in this place.
That doesn't bother
anything
Alex
with
too
the
much.
So are we comfortable approaching, just for an example, like a beholder? Or something that looks like a literal demon?
Anything that's a face that doesn't look like a literal
Demon, yes. Beholder, no. Is where Alex will draw the line.
I have my
What
Planescape
about
random table out here.
I'm gonna laugh.
Random encounter table.
He rolls a like a
What are the rest of us doing?
Well, right now, you guys are just kind of standing gobsmacked in front of this large
Okay.
building, which turns out to just be one of the many shops. Behind this shop is where you see the gatehouse and this enormous wall surrounding the foundry. And the foundry is just, not just your skyline, but your entire skybox from this position. So I'm assuming the rest of you are just kind of standing here gobsmacked for the moment.
That's accurate.
Alex.
Lucius is trying to pick up on snippets of Infernal that he might hear in passing.
Usually when you think of translating Infernal, it's in the context of cultists writing down rituals or demons making pacts. It's not a language that is spoken commercially or socially. Here, it's spoken both commercially and socially. So the language, like... It's difficult to describe an analog, like a real-world analog, because you might understand Latin, and you might be able to translate Latin, but if you walked into a store and people were in there speaking casual Latin to each other, probably it would be very unnerving. That's what it's like hearing Infernal spoken this way.
Yeah.
So after a few moments, Alex, you do identify a couple of, you're not sure if they're merchants or what, but they're people here that have smaller stalls, lean-tos against the larger buildings here. It looks like they're just exchanging money here and there. People will come up to them. They'll exchange a few quick words. Money will change hands, usually going into the stall, but sometimes going the other way as well. Doesn't look like sales are happening, but some sort of transaction definitely is. And after a few moments, you decide, okay, I'm going to pick out this guy over here. It looks like he's about 6 feet tall. It looks like he's a regular human. His clothes look like they're in pretty good shape. He's wearing an alchemist's apron, so this like a heavy, probably metal lined apron, heavy boots, and he's bald on the back of his head, but not the front. This is the most normal-looking person in eyeshot. It looks like they're doing regular business here outside the foundry.
And I guess I'll try common. Excuse me.
And as you approach, he's focusing on some kind of transaction in front of him. It looks like he has what looks to your eyes to be a 3-dimensional abacus that he's working with both hands very swiftly. And he responds in fairly good common, but very accented to your ears. And he asks, buying or selling?
Buying, and I'll list off some alchemical reagents.
And he tells you to hold a moment. And he looks up at you, and you realize his eyes don't have any pupils in them. And he moves his neck backwards, and you hear a soft crack from inside of his bones. And then he starts looking to the left, where Seeker is standing. But as he does, his head continues to move further and further. And you see the other side of his head coming around into view, the side that has the hair on it, which are these long, luxurious bangs hanging down over his face. And you hear the little loud crack as his neck snaps back into place. And he opens his eyes, and again, there's no pupils in them. And he speaks with a totally different voice now. He says, buying today, eh? Do you know the name of your merchant?
No, I don't.
It's quite all right. I can help you find one. There will be a fee for that associated.
Do you take coppers? Silver? I'm understood that silver and gold are maybe a little not the best way to spend money here.
From out of town, are you?
Yeah.
There will be a fee for that as well. I accept whatever
Well,
coinage
again,
you have.
if the fee is beyond a couple of copper, I'm afraid I can't pay it. And I hate to waste your time.
He reaches down under his counter, and you hear shifting around. When he comes back, he's wearing some kind of device on his fingers. It's slipped over his index finger and his thumb, and there's a bit of connective wire between the two pieces. And it looks like if you were to put like a staple remover over your index finger and thumb. And he says, show me the coin.
I'll fish the coppers out of my pouch and throw them and hold them out to him.
And one by one, he just quickly takes his fingers and snaps the device on the coin. And he assures you that they're good metal. Not much value, but we'll see what we can do. What are you looking to purchase today?
I'll list off a couple of alchemical ingredients that would be used to synthesize acid.
He asks for something as simple as acid. Have you not been to one of the acid vendors?
Oh no, it's I just need them as reagents. Not actually what I'm going to do with them. Just stocking back up.
He tells you this is typically not the kind of commission they take on the foundry, but he'll be able to find somebody who might be able to assist you.
Oh, so we're purchasing the person's actual service, not just a finished good or a material. I think I'm in the wrong place.
He assures you you're purchasing whatever it is you need to have made. He can make it happen for you.
Can we have a map made from here to the middle bobs?
He asks who are the middle bobs. Is this a particular...
We understand there are Gnomish artificers in town. They're in the Guildhall ward.
Yeah, even just a map that shows the different districts and would be probably useful.
The Guildhall ward. He tells you that's relatively far from where you're at. You're in the entire wrong side of the town. You're here near to the foundry. You need to be in the guild halls for that sort of commission. However, he is certain that he can find a contact inside of the foundry that has dealings with the middle bobs. He can facilitate a meeting between the two of you. There will, of course, be a fee for that.
How much of a fee?
That depends on the nature of the business.
Simply directions or a map would probably be more than sufficient.
He thinks for a moment. He says, to have a map made, or copied, or magicked up even, I suppose that's the kind of work. I could put you in touch with, perhaps there's... He thinks for a moment. Well, yes, I think I do know of a accomplished cartographer. I believe he has metallurgic inks done from time to time. I can put you in contact with him as well if need be. There will, of course, be a fee for that.